Hi, everyone. The purpose of this video is to go through what the student workflow in NROC and Moodle is going to look like for anyone taking Math 003. So let me go to Moodle, scroll up to the top. Okay, so this is what your Moodle page should look like. Regardless of your instructor, it should have a similar layout, at least to start. So you're going to see the Welcome to Math 003, the weird growth mindset head. And then you're going to get down to where you have instructor info and then maybe a forum or a place for course announcements. Underneath that, you'll have the personalized version of your class based on who your instructor is. So this is an example of my class. If you have a different instructor, your class might look slightly different than this, but what we're going to focus on in this video is starting down here with Unit 1. Okay, so this course, Math 003, is made up of 3 different tiers. Okay, Tier 1 is made up of 8 units. So that's units 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 9. Tier 2 rather is made up of units 8, 10, 11, and 13. And then Tier 3 is made up of units 12, 15, 16, and 17. You all do not all have to complete all 3 tiers. Your instructor will reach out to you and let you know which tiers you need to complete based on your program of study. Okay, so for the sake of this video, we're just going to assume a student starts at Unit 1. So to access the course content, which will come to you in 2 forms, you'll have course content via NROC, which is embedded in Moodle, and then you'll also have Moodle quizzes and tests, okay? So let's again just pretend somebody's starting in Unit 1. What you do is open up the Unit 1 toggle, and there are 3 components here. The first step is learn. That's where you do your NROC. The second step is just to communicate with your instructor, make sure they know you're done with Unit 1 in NROC so they can open up the quiz in Moodle. And then you actually take the unit quiz. So those are your 3 main steps. And I'm going to kind of walk you through that piece by piece so you can see what to do. So step 1, you learn, okay? It says that if you read this, it says this is where the student will find course content for Unit 1, and it goes through some, specific information. You then click on Unit 1, begin here. This will give you access to NROC. It just connects you directly to NROC. And basically what happens is this: you have a pre-assessment. It is 100% up to the student whether or not you take the pre-assessment. If it's a unit that you feel kind of comfortable with, maybe go ahead and take the pre-assessment, because you'll get the chance to showcase what you already know and get some credit right off the bat for Unit 1. So if you do take the pre-assessment, NROC will create a personalized learning path for you with only the topics that you still need to work on. So they'll basically take topics out of the unit that you already know from the pre-assessment, and then you study whatever is left. If you choose not to take the pre-assessment, then you do the entire unit and you just go to the unit map to access that. Okay, so I'm not going to take the pre-assessment right now. I'm just going to go to the unit map. Okay, so these are all of the topics for Unit 1. All right, don't get alarmed if you see that there's a bunch of topics. Some of the topics are really, really quick. Some of them might take you a little bit longer, but there's the content for Unit 1. So you do want to work through the topics in the unit map or My Learning Path in order. All right, so I'm going to go to place value and names for whole numbers. And you can see here there are 6 steps. Step 1 is a warm-up. I personally don't care if my students do the warm-up, but we all care if you do everything else. You are expected to do steps 2 through 6 for each topic, okay? So step 2 is a presentation. This is a professional video that the NROC folks have made with an overview and kind of an explanation of that particular topic. They'll even work some little problems out. Step 3, NROC has connected with Khan Academy, and they'll have different examples that you can see somebody working out step by step. Steps 2 and 3 are so important, because that is like the actual class lecture component of this class. You also have the topic text, which is kind of like the textbook side of things. So you'll have definitions, you'll have explanations, you'll have examples worked out. You'll even have some somewhat interactive problems that you can work through and practice. And then you get to the heart and soul, the meaty part of this unit right here. This is where you do the math. This is where you actually do the math, okay? So practice, think of it kind of like homework. For each question, you're going to get instant feedback. If it's correct, they're going to tell you it's correct. You can move to the next problem. If you get it incorrect, they'll tell you it's incorrect, and they'll give you a hint sometimes about how to go back and solve it. Your goal is to work through the practice with a score of at least 80% or higher, okay? Once you have completed the practice with a score of 80% or higher, Then you move to the review. The review is set up a little different. It's more like a practice test for that topic. You will work through the entire review all at once, and then at the end, they'll give you graded feedback. Again, your goal is to get 80% or higher on both the practice and review. So for every single topic, you want to do steps 2 through 6. Steps 5 and 6, scores of 80% or higher are required. So once you complete this topic, you go back to the unit map. Oops, I went one step too far. And then you pick up the next topic and you do the exact same thing. So you can do the warm-up if you want, but I'm mostly concerned about steps 2 through 6. And especially for steps 5 and 6, scores of 80% or higher. So as you work through that entire unit map, all right, you want to get, this will turn into a purple check when you've completed everything that you need to complete. You want to complete all of these topics. When you have completed all of these topics, steps 2 through 6 for each of these topics, then you go back into Moodle and you can see the next step is checkpoint. The whole purpose in this is for you to communicate with your instructor to get access to the quiz, okay? If you are in a face-to-face class, you can do this in the classroom, or you can do this via email if it's after class hours. If you're in an online class, you have to do this via email, and it does have to be your school email, okay? So you just reach out, you would say, hey, instructor, whoever that is, I think I've completed the NROC for Unit 1. Can you check and open the quiz for me? They go into the NROC gradebook, they make sure you've completed everything, and then they would unlock Unit 1 Quiz Form A. If you pass Unit 1 Quiz Form A, that means a score of 80% or higher, then that Unit 2 Begin Here link automatically unlocks and you can start working on Unit 2. However, if you fail Unit 1 Quiz Form A, then Unit 1 Quiz Form B opens, but do not take it until you get the go-ahead from your instructor. So if you end up failing Quiz Form A, that means a score of less than 80, reach out to your instructor again, go talk to them or email them and say, hey, I didn't pass Unit 1 Quiz Form A. Do you have any tips? Do you have any suggestions? When can I take Unit 1 Quiz Form B? And then once you get the go-ahead from them, you take Unit 1 Quiz Form B. If you pass it, you're done. You get to move on to Unit 2. If you don't pass it, then you take Unit 1 Quiz Form C. Ideally, you want to pass it in the first or second attempt. Hopefully, you don't have to go through all 4 attempts, okay? So again, once you pass the quiz, you're done, and you move on to the next unit. So then you'd come down here to Unit 2, click Unit 2 Begin Here, and then you just start the whole process over, okay? So you want to go through this process for all of the units in your tier. Once you have completed all of the units in your tier, then you're to the point where you're going to do a tier test. The tier test is how you get a grade in this class, okay? So your completion of the tier test becomes the grade that you get for Math 003. So for the tier test, we want all of our students to take a practice test first. So you have access to this practice test. You can take it as many times as you want, but at least one attempt with a score of 80% or higher is required. Once you have done that, you schedule a time to take the tier test with an instructor. The unit quizzes you can take at home. They're fine. The tier test has to be taken in a proctored environment. So if you're in a face-to-face class, then you would just take this in class with your instructor. If you are in a fully online class, you have to schedule a time on Zoom to meet with your instructor to take this test, okay? You need to work with your instructor's schedules, okay? They can't work around every single student's schedule, so you do need to kind of arrange your life around your instructor as best you can, okay? If you're in an online class. So hopefully you pass Tier 1 Test Form A, you can then move on to Tier 2. If you fail Tier 1 Test Form A, then you talk about it with your instructor, get some tips, go and review, and then schedule another time to take Tier 1 Test Form B, okay? You get 3 attempts on the tier tests, and then you get 4 attempts on the unit quizzes. So remember, for whatever unit, click that unit, whatever, begin here, work through the NROC topic by topic, doing steps 2 through 6 for each topic. Once you finish all of the topics for a unit, you talk to your instructor, you get access to the unit quiz. If you pass the unit quiz, move to the next unit. If you fail the unit quiz, review, chat with your instructor, take the next form of the quiz. As soon as you pass one of those quizzes, you're done, you move on to the next unit. You work through all the units in your tier, and then you take a tier test. If you pass the tier test, you move on to the next tier. If you fail the tier test, you review and take it over. Okay, so hopefully this helps you understand kind of the workflow and how to access and just navigate through this course. Okay, the key is reach out to your instructor if you have any questions. This class is a little confusing at the start, but once you get into it, the rhythm of it kind of just naturally happens. But let us know if anything comes up and if you have any questions. All right, take care.